They told you to say it. But did you ever stop and let it say you? La ilaha illallah. You've recited it 1,000 times, but have you ever let it destroy you? Because this is not a phrase. It's an explosion, a fire meant to burn every idol inside you. Ibn Arabi said, to say La ilaha is to erase the illusion. To say illallah is to return to the only real. So the question isn't, have you said it? The question is, has it undone you yet? They told you La ilaha illallah means there is no God but God. But they didn't tell you that the first half, La ilaha, is meant to hurt. It's not polite, it's not peaceful. It is a blade, a sacred denial, a demolition of everything you ever trusted. Because La ilaha doesn't just say there is no God. It says there is no you, no certainty, no meaning outside of what's real. Ibn Arabi said, the first word of the Shahada is not affirmation, it is negation. You cannot know the one until you say goodbye to all the false ones. And who are the false ones? The God of status, the God of control, the God of being seen, wanted, praised, the God of your own idea of God. To say La ilaha is to tear down the altar of ego and stand inside the rubble, trembling. This is why people can say it with the tongue for years and never feel a thing, because they never meant it. They never let it burn. But La ilaha is not a phrase, it's a funeral. A letting go of all the names you whispered at night that were never his. So when you say it again, next time, don't chant it, don't perform it, stand in it, let it collapse you, let it make room for the only name that remains. After the fire of La ilaha, what's left? Silence, ashes, space, and then illallah, not a concept, not even a comfort, but a pulse of reality that was always there, waiting under the rubble of your illusions. Ibn Arabi said, the real does not enter where the false still resides. Illallah is not just the second half of a sentence, it's the breath after drowning, the light after blindness, the knowing after unknowing. It doesn't replace the false gods, it makes them irrelevant. You don't just say, God is one. You become the space in which only one remains. This is not theology, it's intimacy, because illallah isn't about who God is, it's about where you let him be, in your stillness, in your surrender, in that moment when you stopped looking for God and just opened your eyes. So many say La ilaha illallah as if it's a badge, a label, a mark of belonging. But Ibn Arabi invites you to say it like a lover, like a broken seeker who has lost every name but one. So say it again, illallah, not as a fact, but as the softest truth you're finally ready to fall into. Most people think shirk means worshipping statues, but Ibn Arabi showed us something far scarier. The worst idols aren't made of stone. They're made of thoughts. You can stand in prayer 5 times a day, say La ilaha illallah with your lips, and still secretly bow to things that aren't God. Like what? Like the need to be right, the hunger to be praised, the fear of being unseen, the addiction to being in control. These are the gods we build in the quiet of our insecurities. And the tragedy, they're harder to smash than statues, because no one can see them but you. Ibn Arabi said, every attachment that makes you forget the real is a veil, and every veil is a false god. The Qur'an didn't say, worship God and avoid statues. It said, so whoever rejects Taghut and believes in Allah, 2:256. Taghut means anything you give power to besides the one. Your pride can be Taghut. Your trauma can be Taghut. Even your idea of a perfect spiritual self can become the very idol that blocks your Lord. That's why La ilaha must come first. It doesn't just prepare you for God, it clears the throne. So don't rush through this declaration. Say it slowly. Say it like someone pulling weeds out of their own chest. Because if you really mean it, you're going to lose things. But what you lose was never you to begin with. Here's the hardest truth Ibn Arabi ever offered. Even your idea of God can become a veil between you and God. We imagine God as distant or angry or only merciful. We imagine Him in our image, a bigger, invisible version of our own desires and fears. But La ilaha doesn't just destroy external idols, it shatters your internal projections too. The real is not an idea, not a character in your religious imagination. Ibn Arabi said, "The real is veiled by the very name, God." Think about that. You say God, but are you pointing to the infinite or just the shadow of your own expectations? The ego loves to worship its version of God, the one who agrees with its opinions, punishes its enemies, rewards its ambitions. But that's not worship. That's self-projection wearing divine clothes. Real Tawheed, the unity of God, requires the collapse of the God you invented. That's why illallah feels like silence. Because when every false image dies, what's left can't be described. It's not a being out there, it's being itself. So ask yourself, when you say Allah, is it the one who made you, or the one your fear made up? This is why Ibn Arabi insisted, the path to God ends where all concepts fall. La ilaha illallah is not the name of a God. It's the death of every image so that the real can finally appear. Every time you say La ilaha illallah, something in you should die. Not your body, not your soul, but your false center, the voice that says, I am the doer, I am the one, I am enough. Ibn Arabi taught that the ego loves to sit on God's throne, not by claiming divinity directly, but by always putting itself at the center of the story. Look closer. Even your spiritual path can become about you, your growth, your enlightenment, your peace. But La ilaha illallah cuts deeper than religion. It cuts through identity. It whispers, you are not the light, you are the window. And the clearer that window becomes, the more the divine can shine through. This is why Ibn Arabi emphasized fana, the annihilation of the self, not as despair, but as freedom. Because when you dissolve, what's left is not nothingness. It's spaciousness, stillness, reality without filters. You begin to live not from control, but from surrender, not from identity, but from intimacy with the real. That's why saying La ilaha illallah with presence is more than worship. It's transformation. It doesn't make you religious, it makes you real. The goal was never to just say it. La ilaha illallah is not a password, not a slogan, not a ritual to be memorized and moved past. It is a fire that never stops burning. And once it burns through all your false gods, your ego, your fears, your images of control, it leaves you with one thing, presence. Not as an experience, as a way of being. You walk slower, you speak softer. You look at others not as strangers, but as windows, because now you know the one you seek is not out there. He is the source within all things. Ibn Arabi said, true Tawheed is not saying God is one. It's seeing only one everywhere you look. So when you say La ilaha illallah now, don't say it from the mind. Say it from the place that has nothing left to prove. Let it echo from your emptiness. Let it rise like a wave from your silence. Because this isn't the end of a prayer. It's the end of separation and the beginning of the only real life. A life where every face is a reminder of the face that never fades. If these words touch something in you, don't let it be just a passing feeling. Subscribe to Heart's Whisper not for content, but for reminders of what you already carry. And in the comments, tell me, what did La ilaha illallah ask you to let go of today?